Hello friends, it's Mr. Matt. We're back. In our previous video, we had our block 1 project, and I've gone ahead and kept our block in our project, but today we're going to be talking about all the things about moving and placing and sizing our objects. And this is true for any object that is placed into the screen, but we're going to start with the simplest of object, which is our block from our previous video. But I'm going to first start with actually dropping a new block. We see our first block is up there in the corner. We didn't want him to feel lonely, and so I've left him there. But we're going to go ahead and add a shape into our screen. Now, if you happen to not see the shapes option on the right side, it's very likely it's been docked. And you go ahead and click on that little triangle caret object right there, and it goes ahead and shows you the basic shapes. If you have some weird thing where you have something you don't have the basic shape selected, maybe you're seeing the creatures, or maybe you're seeing hardware by accident. If you come up here in this little drop down option, if you click on the double little arrows and you click on that, I want you to be in the basic shapes. And so go ahead and select that, and then you will see the display of the available shapes will be slightly different. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click and drag that block in there. You see how I dragged that block in there? Let's go ahead and just place them right there in the middle, and boom, our red block has been dropped there. Now, red is a nice color, but I don't want to have our other red block to feel lonely there. So what I want to do is come up here and go into the option here where it says the red, and I want you to click on it and make it any color you want. I'll make it purple because that's the color my daughter loves. Both my daughters love purple, and we'll go ahead and do that. Now, what's cool is that we have our block and it is dropped right there on our work plane. And I'm going to go ahead and right click and kind of rotate the screen down, and you will see it's exactly right there on the bottom of the work plane. And that is something that tinkercad does a nice job for you when you drop in a new object. It snaps, that's a key word, it snaps that object right to the work plane where we placed it. So it's not hovering in midair, it's not floating above in the clouds. It's actually right there on this giant work plane that looks like a piece of paper with the grids, and it has the word work plane here on the side. Now I'm rotating around and I'm looking at our cool little block, but I don't want it exactly right there. So what I'm going to do is, instead of right mouse clicking to move or center mouse clicking to drag or zooming in and out, I want us to actually select this block, and you will do that with the left mouse click, which will be your pointer finger. When you click it, all of a sudden you see all these cool little blocks and options and things that highlight and things that appear out of nowhere and all these cool little options. But I don't want you to worry about that too much right now. I just want you to grab somewhere with a left mouse click and hold it somewhere on the block, and then I want you to move it around. And I want you to keep holding it down, and I want you to play with it. Move it around the screen, left, right. And you see these little drag bars are constantly updating what the distance is from that original location where the block was placed. See if I can get it right there, 0, 0. But as I move it around, you see it tells you how far you're moving that block around. So let's go ahead and just put it up here, maybe a few, there it is, 10 and 40. So I was able to move it. Now I moved it in the space. Is it hovering now? I kind of pushed it up. Is it now off the work plane? Let's check. It is not. And so as we move that object around, it kind of holds it to the work plane. See how it's flat on that work plane, which makes it really useful. It's because we drop in a block. Hey, we want to put it over here. No, I want to put it over here. Now I want to put it over here. Now he's going to be nice and dizzy. So we're able to click, select our object, and move that object around. And it's a really nice way to go ahead and do that. Okay, so that's moving the object around. Now let's talk about spinning the object. We have 3 options to spin. So we can spin it about the work plane, we can spin it on end, or we can spin it front to back. And so let's go ahead and just do the first one, which is the bottom one. And you see as I hover here, you see that there's an option immediately appears as this giant circle. So if I click and drag within the larger steps, you can see how it jumps. So let's go ahead and do that again. I click, I hover, I select, and I start moving, and I'm holding that select button down, that left mouse button, and I'm moving it around. and I'm rotating all the way around. And it's updating me on the degrees that I'm rotating. Now if I want to do finer measurements, I hold that and I come out to the next level, and you can see I can move in a finer motion. It's not snapping or jumping. But if I want to jump back into here where I'm snapping to the jumps, it makes it a lot easier. If I want to go out to the outer edge, it's a finer angle measurement. It allows me to find exactly what I want when I'm rotating this block based on the design that you want. Okay, so click on the outside. Let's click it again. Let's go ahead and try the other way. I'm going to click here, hold, and start moving, and you can see my block is now rotating or tumbling on end. But if I go to the outside, it moves in a finer, more discrete amount of steps, and I can hop between the two. You can see how and the whole time I'm holding that left mouse button down, and you can see how I'm moving between a more fine movement and a more jump. So I'll put it back to the middle here. Let's go ahead and find the other one. There it is. And now it's going to tumble side to side, and I'm going to just keep going around. And you can see how the object is slightly transparent, so I can actually just keep moving around. And you could think, oh, I'm going to get into the block, but it doesn't worry about the block. You can keep moving around that ring and the big steps, or I can move out to the outer ring and have the finer movements. If I go outside, it still holds that outer ring. You can see I'm outside that ring, but the minute I come back on the inside, it was able to snap directly to the number. Okay, so now we've moved the block around by selecting it and moving it around. We've learned how to rotate our block, both in jumpy movements, chunky 22.5, 45, 67.5, and 90, or moving in more finer measurements on the outside. Now, if any time something happens and you go, oh no, I didn't want that. The first thing I want you to know is that everything can be undone. That's a mistake. Look, it's right below our work plane. That's not going to help me. I need to have that back. How do I undo what I just did? And the thing I want you to look down on your keyboard and look for the Control and the Z key, and we're going to put those two together and undo the action that we just did. So let's do that again. Let's make the mistake. Go ahead and find Control plus Z, and that is your friend. We're going to Control Z, and the block will move back. So if any time there's a mistake, let's say I moved it here, then I moved it here, then I moved it over here, then I moved it over here, and I didn't want any of those, I can start undoing all those options. So there's never a mistake in Tinkercad. There's never a mistake in the CAD tool. We just can undo those actions and get back to a safe spot. But if all else fails, just delete the box, drag it back in, and let's start over. We're not doing anything super important. We're just learning how to use the tool, so we can select, delete, drop that tool back down. Let's go ahead and change that color back to purple. Okay, so now we've moved our block around. We've rotated our block. Now, let's move the block up off of the floor. So we're here. We're stuck right there on the work plane, but I want to get it off the work plane. And you can kind of see, I'm going to hide our Control Z friend over here. We have this caret that's all the way up on the top. Now this is a really cool movement. So we're able to select and move it along the work plane. But if we select this and drag up, you can see I'm pulling the block off the ground. And you can see now it's hovering in midair. Now I can select it again and bring it back down. And we can see the references here. Up and down and up. And now we can rotate in that space too. Bring it over. Now you can see my little cube is floating in the air with magic. I didn't want that to happen. I'm going to go ahead, undo it all, and put it all the way back to the ground. Oh, I've done something terrible. My screen is all wrong. That's okay. We're just going to click the home button here on the top left and get back to a view that we are comfortable with. So again, let's go ahead and review just a little bit. We select and move it around. We can click the rotate buttons and rotate around. We can click on the caret on top and lift our object off the ground. We can also click on it and bring it back down. Now what's a really cool option here is that we have a floating box and we want it to come back down to the work plane. There's a super simple key on your keyboard that will do that immediately. Now we have to make sure the object that we want this to work on is selected. So let's go ahead and select it, and I want you to hit the D key. When you hit the D key, it drops it straight to the work plane, right there. So let's try that again. Let's push it up, let's hit the D key again. It comes straight back down. That is such a useful way of bringing any object to the work plane. And we will use this a lot going forward, so it's a really important little key to remember. And you'll probably do this with your left hand. Probably your middle finger typically is the key I tend to do. So I hold the ASDF in my left hand, and the D would be the middle finger. So boom, I dropped it right back down. D places it back down. D places it back down. Okay? So we've now learned how to move our object. Let's look at how do we resize the object, change its dimensions, modify how it looks. And that's what the white and the black boxes will do. So let's first look at the black boxes. These are the square boxes in between the edges, the corners of our block. And if I were to select this edge with the left mouse click and I'm to drag it, you will notice that the box, the cube, is now elongated. I can drag it in and make it short. You can make it long and pull it out here. Okay? And at any time we want to undo something, Control Z brings us right back to where we were. Let's go ahead and try the other corner. I'm going to drag to the left, to the right, and I really encourage you to play here and really just play and make any type of box you're looking for. And you can select even through the box. You don't have to be on the other side of the box to use this option right here. It shows through, so as we hover over it, it turns red. If I select it, I can drag and pull it towards me, open it up here, and you can see how I can change the dimensions of the box. Again, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, all the way back until I have my cube again, and I'm back to normal. Okay, but again, if the object isn't what you wanted, just delete it, place it again, change the color, and we're back to where we were before. So these change the dimensions or the size of the box. We can also change the height of the box by this one on the top as well. So we can scrunch it all the way down until it's like a flat, like a square pancake. It could be very tall, like a rectangular cube here, all the way to the top. Okay, so that's how we resize the dimension. Now we can also use the corners and drag, which will allow us to change in multiple dimensions as we move the block around. So you can see as I pull and I push, it's changing both the X and the Y values of that box. And that is true for any corner as I move it around. And again, I can do it on any corner as I move around. Let's go ahead and return back to our cube, our really nice cube. Now what's really cool is this, as I move that, if I went a little far that way, or I went a little far that way, but I wanted to maintain the fact that it's a cube, if I hold the Shift button down and then select the corner, it allows the box to scale in all dimensions. And you can see I can make my cube super small, or I can make my cube super large. And that's the Shift key. It means I'm going to lock the scale of all dimensions, X, Y, and Z, and hold them constant, the ratio of those, and I'm going to scale the box up and scale it down in all dimensions, not just in one dimension or two dimensions like I'm doing here, but if I hold Shift, it scales in all dimensions, and it holds that consistent, so I don't have to worry about too much in one direction or too much in the other. Okay, so we've been moving the box around. Again, from the last video, we're moving everything around, we're moving the screen, we're moving the object around. We are now resizing our object. We are now rotating or pushing our object around. We are now able to resize the height. We're able to rotate the box. We're able to bring it up off the ground and slam it back down to the ground with the D command, the D key. We're able to resize using the corners or the edges, and that holds it just in the one direction. This allows you to resize in both dimensions, or if we want to hold the scale, we hit the shift and then we grab one of the white boxes. It allows us to resize in all dimensions. Okay, so hopefully that helped you. We learned how to move in the previous video, and now we're not just moving our block around, but now we are starting to resize our shape. And we also showed how to bring the object in. We learned about Control Z. We learned how to delete our box by selecting it and hitting the delete key. We've learned that we can bring it back in, and ultimately there are no mistakes. We can always undo things with our Control Z option here up in the top. So hopefully this video helped you, and I'll see you guys next time.